Good morning. So I usually have I sometimes go over products that you might like or you might um I don't know, that are cheaper, or I might say, okay, once in a while on this channel, I think if I find a good deal, I'll say it. But then there's other times where cheaper is not always better. So I'm going to give you a clear example of this. And what you put in your body, cheaper is not always better. So I do buy things that are cheaper, but it is cheaper to eat more grains and more rice and more carbohydrates. And that is the problem. Um, I had to make the plunge like back in, so it's May 8th. It's 9:47 a.m. 2018. Back in, I want to say, September, it might have been the end of August of 2017, I decided, um, I really have a problem with eating carbohydrates. Once I start eating them, I can't stop. And so I decided to go on Atkins, which is a keto diet, which then kind of evolved into like keto, which I do still eat the Atkins stuff because it's kind of like it goes back and forth. But I try to eat as natural and as healthy as I can. So we've been sold a bill of goods. We've been sold the bill of goods by the government, who's in bed with the companies like Kellogg's and all those companies with that are giving us these processed foods. And even like back when we used to get the commodities, vegetable oil is good. I just want to know how it is good for you to eat chemicals, okay? Chemicals. That's what vegetable oil is. It has to go through a chemical process and be extracted chemically. You cannot take the oil out of the vegetable without chemicals. And nothing about that sounds appetizing to me, okay? I used to be all about, oh yeah, processed foods are all right, it's quick, it's easy. You can find some just as easy stuff. And I hiking was like, how am I going to do this hiking? That was a big concern of mine. How am I going to do keto hiking? And people were like, well, maybe you shouldn't do keto hiking. Well, I don't know for how many generations it was in our diet. I don't know. I know I've looked up the scientifics behind it or whatever. And we existed before we learned to process all this garbage and put it in our bodies. We existed before that and had to go out and do a lot of physical activity because we didn't have the society that was instant. We didn't have our instant gratification society that we do here now. So I went hiking, and I've started hiking again, and this was my biggest concern. Can you go hiking on a keto diet? And yes, you can. So what I've found is I just dehydrate my foods, and I have to keep the oils separate. Now it is a little bit to carry the oils. That's, it is what it is. But you just bring some coconut oil with you. You bring some olive oil with you, and you just bring the bottles and the amount that you need. And I did a lot of broth, so this isn't so natural, but I did those bouillon cubes because sometimes sometimes is okay. I'm just saying, like, I'm like, oh, natural, let's try to eat natural, but sometimes it's okay not to do. You gotta do what you have available. And I didn't have any dehydrated broth. I didn't dehydrate my own broth ahead of time. So I got the bouillon cubes. I dehydrated my own peas. Peas have a lot of carbs. So I did pick vegetables that had more carbs in them. So I dehydrated my peas, and and I had chicken, and all stuff that I could take hiking that was lightweight, and it worked, and I had the energy. Um, I I'm just still trying to figure out in my head how I can take fat bombs with me, because wouldn't that, I didn't need them. I had enough. But wouldn't that be absolutely amazing to take your fat bombs on there? That would be great. If you don't know what a fat bomb is, Pinterest it. Um, so I'm drinking the Kool-Aid already. Is that a thing? Can you drink keto Kool-Aid? Yeah. So I'm drinking the keto Kool-Aid already. If it's not a thing, how about keto Kool-Aid could be like bone broth? That would be good. Um, so I'm already on that bandwagon. So I watched a movie last night, and I'm going to support it, because at first I was like, this is going to be a hippie movie, and I'm not hippie. I am not hippie at all. And it really irritates me when people are like, let's do this based on no knowledge. Let me make an opinion, and let me totally ignore data, statistics, and facts. You bring me an argument with data, statistics, and facts, and I will consider it and be on your little bandwagon, maybe, depending on if I believe that they come from credible sources. So the movie I watched, and I'm gonna say I think that everybody should watch it. It's called The Magic Pill, and it's on Netflix right now. And it just reaffirmed the research that I already did. And additionally, there's children in there. They're doing studies right now on how that keto diet works. And there's children in there that are autistic and nonverbal that become verbal because they're on the keto diet, because our brain is made out of fat, and our brain needs fat, and we're feeding it carbs. So there is a hard switch over, but I think that it's good. At the first 2 weeks are the hardest, and once you get past that you're easy peasy. So in that movie, it was saying, and I didn't realize this, I've been so healthy. Like, everybody else in my house is like, they've decided not to eat this way, because I'm all about choices. I'm like, you should make these healthy choices, and this is why mom's doing them. And my kids, I do make them eat less carbs and stuff, but a lot less than they used to. But it's kind of like a slow process. I feel like I'm gonna ease them into it, which I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but whatever. So that's just my choice. And they had people on there that on the show that they were diabetic, and they started on the keto diet, not diabetic anymore. Cholesterol, they increased the amount of things that they were eating that should raise your cholesterol. To cut out grains, cholesterol's lower. I need to go into my doctor's and get a cholesterol test, and see where it is, because mine's had always been borderline, and since September I've been eating keto, so I'm wondering if it's lower, because I can guarantee you it is. My arthritis isn't bothering me anymore. My asthma isn't bothering me anymore. I don't have acne. I used to have really bad acne all over my back. It's like gone. The only time I really get is when I get really sweaty and I might have like a pimple or two. My back used to be so covered in acne that we used to joke it's the acne field. Like, I was growing acne and I was going to sell it. It's not that way anymore. My skin, I feel like it's more shiny. Not shiny, but like, I used to have like acne and blackheads like right here, and I'd get like really bad up here around my lips. I'd get acne. That's the other thing, like colds. My children will be coming home with colds, and they will be on death's door, I swear to God. And since doing this, okay, I have to admit one thing. I still take the gummy vitamins. Like, I quit them for the first 2 weeks, but they're delicious. So and they're very minimal amount of sugar and whatever. So I do that. So, my kids come home sick and I get a little tickle in my throat for 3 days. Before, I would be sick, and I would be so sick that I would end up in the doctor's office 3 weeks later because the cold wouldn't go away and I couldn't fight it. I'd get an upper respiratory infection. When I was for the longest time, I have these pleural adhesions in my lungs that were there, and I'd been to the doctor, and they're like, it's due to your asthma and your allergies. Take allergy medicine. And my allergies, I do once in a while take my allergy medicine, but it's getting better. Like, I don't have to take it every day. And I feel like the longer I've been doing keto, the less I've taken it. And I didn't like really realize this till I started thinking about it. Cause I'm like, wow, I'm feeling so healthy. I'm at a healthy point in my life. I'm just feeling better. Because it's what I'm putting in my body. I'm not going to the store. I'm turning things. There's ketchup. It has sugar in it. What the crap, man? What the crap? How do you get sugar in ketchup? I'm going to the store, I'm reading these things. There's sugar in peanut butter. Like, who in the world puts sugar in peanut butter? Why do you need sugar in peanut butter? There's the first applesauce, high fructose corn syrup. It's like every ingredient you look at the store has freaking sugar in it. So I've really cut down the amount of stuff that I eat because I can't eat anything processed because they all put freaking garbage in your processed foods. I didn't realize how bad it was until I started reading the ingredients. So if I can't read the ingredients on the package, I'm not getting it. I'm not eating it. So that's been my new rule. If it's too many carbs, I'm not getting it. So, I also have IBS, and I used to have flare-ups like all the time. I think I had a flare-up the other day, and I think it's because I ate Chinese food. And I'm sure there was some processed stuff in that Chinese food. But it's like, I don't have those flare-ups anymore like I used to. Like, I don't have to run to the bathroom like I used to. And you know why? My body was telling me, stop eating garbage. That's literally what was going on. I was eating garbage. I was eating chemicals. And so today, I don't want to eat chemicals. So, my health is better. So yes, you're going to spend more on food, but you're going to save money on going to the doctor in the long run. Like there's medicines out there that like one pill is more than my monthly income. So, I'm gonna say, I spend like $50 more a week on groceries. But if I have to take one pill that's more than my monthly income, what would you rather do? Would you rather spend a little bit more on groceries and eat healthier and not buy all that processed garbage? Or would you rather take that one pill that's more than your monthly income that the insurance may or may not cover? Because sometimes the insurance doesn't cover that. Would you rather have those diseases and those life-threatening illnesses? So my thing today is, I'm going to tell you, it's on Netflix right now. It's called The Magic Pill. Go ahead and watch that movie, and there's actual science. It's not garbage. It's actual science. These are things that I had already looked up to make my decision before I made it. And I'm sorry, but America, the Food and Drug Administration is selling us a bill of goods that's full of crap. Putting grains in your diet, and then they adjust it because they're in bed with these companies. And government is corrupt. And anybody that trusts the government, I'd like to, it's just so corrupt. I'd like to teach you about the government. For example, let's trust the government. Hitler. That was like, I know we don't have any Hitler going on in the US, but those are some corrupt government officials. Look what Bill Clinton did. And it's just, and it's both sides. Both sides. So I could name either side of the fence. The problem is you can't trust them. And you can't depend on the government or the knowledge that you get from the government. Um, and they are funding these research studies. I could go on. Just watch the movie. They're funding these research studies because that's where they're getting their money. And if you know how research works, it's say you're a biologist or a chemist, whatever, you're in the research lab, you do the research that your grant pays for. So these private companies are going to pay for these grants that they want research done to prove it. And sometimes you find like, say if you're a scientist and you are like, oh wait, this over here this works, let's research that more. You're told no because your research grant doesn't cover it. So that's pretty much just the hypocrisy of it all, I guess. Like if and you want to say, oh, why do they do that? Because it's their paycheck. I'm sorry, but you have to be able to feed your family. So you have to do that. It's just very eye-opening, and you can take that, and from that you can go do more research. Like I had already did the research. I was already drinking the Kool-Aid. I was already drinking keto Kool-Aid. I was already on the bandwagon. I was already on the boat. I even opened this movie and I was like, okay, we're going to watch this, but this is going to be so hippie. And it's not. It actually had scientific research in it, which I can get on board with. So, and you can look up the information later. And I say look at when you're looking at the data, look at the data of the people that aren't in bed with the corporations. So corporations aren't a bad thing. I own my own company. So I'm just saying you need to look at sometimes corporations are going to pay for the research they want. So you got to take that into consideration whenever you're doing your research. Also, like the government research, when there's stuff, I do quote research on .gov sites, So, like for example, there's a .gov site that said when they dissected Einstein's brain, when they did their scientific research on Einstein's brain, even though he wasn't like labeled dyslexic, he didn't have any problems reading, and he read very well as a child. He said his brain was exactly just like when you open up a dyslexic's brain. The same spots were filled in. The one side was larger than the other, so he could have been dyslexic, but just not had that problem with the reading. And some dyslexics have that problem. So I know I'm going off I'm chasing rabbits, which I do. So I do quote .gov websites, but you got to look at the research behind that. What was the reasoning for that research? What was whose motive was it pushing? Was there somebody's pocket? Was somebody in bed with the government underneath that pocket? And underneath that research. So how did they draw their samples? The samples that were selected on the diet that they had for carbs, the scientists didn't randomly select those countries, and it's saying in the movie he didn't randomly select them. There was a way that he went about it which was wrong. So like I said, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna not give you any more information on the movie. This is not endorsed. Nobody paid me to do this. So I just encourage you, whether you want to do the keto diet or not, like maybe that's just not for you, that's fine. But I just encourage you to watch that movie. It's eye-opening. So I'm going to sign off, and I'm encouraging everybody to take care of their own health. That will save money. Peace. Faylene with Bookkeeping.